Welcome to the training session for the Trainee Management System known as TMS. This is the system used by suppliers of the Department for the Economy training programs such as Skills for Life and Work, Apprenticeship NI programs and Training for Success. It's used to support the administrative and claim processes associated with these programs. The system was developed in partnership with Fujitsu. TMS interacts with the department's own IT support system, client management system known as CMS, so as to provide ongoing contact between both systems to manage and administer services to the participating client. At this point, you should have received your key fob and user login details, and a member of our help desk team will have been in contact with you to help you get set up and assist with the login process. If that isn't the case, please reach out to our help desk and someone should assist you with access as soon as possible. When a trainee approaches a supplier, there are two methods that the client can be registered in TMS. These routes are known as register referred. This basically means where a client has been referred by the courier service to the supplier by way of a training credit. The training credit is produced in CMS and printed, and the client will bring that with them when they meet with the supplier. And information on the training credit is entered into TMS so that both TMS and CMS can match the client and registration is completed automatically. The second method is register non-referred, where basically the client hasn't been referred by the courier service, approaches the supplier to commence training on their own. In this case, the supplier completes the data entry directly on TMS by garnering this through questioning the client, and the information on TMS attempts to match to a client record on CMS. This can't be done automatically. It can be processed manually by a member of our help desk team in DFE. I will be demonstrating a register referred client on the Apprenticeships NI 2021 program initially. The data used is test data in this case for data protection reasons. When you log into TMS, you will see the left-hand side provides a console tree, the first option being programs. If you select the plus button, it will bring up a list of the programs that your supplier has access to and is contracted to deliver. By selecting the plus option on the left-hand side of the relevant program, it will bring up information and options for that specific program, including the strands, claims, participant payrolls, and reports. In this case, we will be registering a client on the Apprenticeships NI level 3 with 2 en route. As I've expanded that down, there's the option to select the participants. There's no participants currently on this program. Otherwise, you would see a list of the relevant information here. However, we will register by right-clicking in this open area and choosing New Register Referred. This will load the Register Referred page, and you use the first two boxes, the client ID and the participant ID, which you can find on the training credit. So I'll enter those now. Once you've entered it, if you just select the tab key, it'll pull the information automatically from the CMS file when the participant was referred. As you can see, it has been able to determine the funding category, the name, and we have the occupational area that trainee plans to study. They're a new entrant on APPS 21, and we just need to manually fill in the remaining information. The job centre is where they've been referred from, and the location is the exact city that they're studying in. The highest level prior to entry is specific to the qualifications they already hold. The start date for the client is the day that they're registered, or you can backdate this, and the expected end date is calculated automatically. However, you can manually change this if there's any extenuating circumstances, and there's a free text box to detail any specific information that's not included in the above form. So if you select that and tab and press enter, the form will highlight if there's any issues at this point or any fields that have been missed. But if everything's correctly input, it should register the new client as a participant on the program. Registration complete. And so we now see that participant within the participation field listed. We'll now move on to completing the participant training plan. If you double click on the relevant participant that you would like to set up a training plan for, it should open their details. The tabs along the top give you all of the different information that can be stored on the client, as you can see. In this case, we will be going to the ITP/PTP form. If you select add, and we can then enter details for the PTP on this client, the personal training plan. So we are selecting level 2. This client is studying construction. This gives us the relevant framework number. You can enter employer details and the NVQ reference number and the date of registration. We can add qualifications and the assessment methods, including their target dates, and the achievement date would be once they've completed those qualifications. We might say DFE construction. The PTP status will be listed as in progress until it has been approved and completed. To do this, you would select the full PTP template completed option and the flag for automatic approval option and select OK. This will change it to approved. At that stage, it will advise you if some essential information has not been completed and not allow it to be approved until that's been finished. Subsequent PTPs can be added, which will all be marked as valid if there is already an initial approved PTP. These can also be modified at a later stage. Timesheets can also be completed for an individual in the participant screen. You would use the time tab for this. You would choose add. The week beginning would be available up here, and it automatically sets it at attended for the full week. This can be changed by selecting one of the time slots. You would right click and you have a number of options for timesheet codes depending on the attendance of the participant. The use of these codes are normally dictated in the operational requirements for the set program that you use. And we can click OK and add this. The reduced hours approval option is also available in this tab, which needs to be approved by DFE. You would select the number of reduced hours the trainee is eligible for and the time date from which that begins, and put in the reason for the reduced hours approval, and this will be sent to the DFE staff for consideration. Timesheets can also be completed en masse for any participants that don't have timesheets individually entered. To do this, you would go to the strand of the program that you would like to complete and choose Timesheet Wizard. This will open up information on how this can be used. and you follow through the steps as shown. You can choose all participants and set the timesheet codes that you'd like for all participants. This will be processed as shown. The timesheets must be completed prior to running your participant payroll, which can be done by selecting participant payroll. You can set up a new one by right-clicking on this open area and choose New. It will prompt you to ensure that all timesheets have been processed for the relevant weeks. And this will set up the next participant payroll that is due, and we can open that. Once open, you'll see the information of the actual payroll. It'll give you a breakdown on the amount and the total. Participant expenses can be modified under this tab. Discretionary items and deduction items added, modified, or deleted under these tabs. Once it's ready for payment and the information has been checked off, you can tick the ready for payment box and save this. And this will change the payroll from false to true under marked as final. Once the full participant payroll has been run for every week of your claim period, you can run a claim by selecting the claim option, right-clicking in this open area and choose New. You fill in the relevant information and process the claim. Reports to assist with your administrative requirements are found under the Report section. The list of relevant reports for your program should be in your operational requirements. You can run a report simply by selecting the relevant report and double-clicking. You fill out the parameters as needed and you would choose OK. And this will generate your report. Information specific to your program should be available in the operational requirements of the program you are running. If you have any queries at any point with the use of TMS or technical issues, you can contact our help desk, and that concludes the training of the basic functionality of the training management system.